the creepy horror of Black Ops 1 Zombies. I'm very interested in watching this because BlackOpsAmazing does make very good zombies content. I've watched them pretty much like since, you know, the introduction of Forsaken or Vanguard Zombies, so quite a year or so now. So I'm excited to see what they've got to say about Black Ops 1.
Call of Duty Zombies might not be as scary as it used to be. You could even argue, was it even scary at all?
Yeah, I think it was scary. Like, you know, completing the World at War campaign and heading straight into Nachtran with no warning whatsoever, to find that you are isolated, alone, and all of these undead motherfuckers are slowly coming out of the mist and, like, raiding the bunker. I think it was quite scary. I don't think Zombies has been scary since either Black Ops 1 or Black Ops 2, to be honest. Like, I know World War II Zombies was kind of horror-themed, but that's another kettle of fish, because that specifically went out of its way to be, like, horror-themed with, like, the jump scares and shit. So, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Considering that this isn't supposed to be a horror game,
no.
Just to me personally, a lot of horror games aren't scary. COD Zombies was never meant to be in that genre, and
it was never meant to be a horror game.
Scary, but over the years, we have had a couple of scarier zombies maps compared to other ones.
Agreed.
Now, I'm fine, but I will say,
I think COD Zombies works as a genre because we have that, like, well, not a genre, but you know what I mean. It works because you have such a range. Like, you have some maps, like, I don't know, Die Rise, Shangri-La, Ascension, you know, Zombies in Spaceland, you know, these goofy, over-the-top maps. And then to contrast that, you have, like, Kino, Nacht, Verrucht, 5, you know, some creepier maps. So I think it balances it out quite well and makes it quite accessible.
As a kid, as a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, those earlier Zombies maps, a lot of the time, I wouldn't play solo. Not necessarily because of the zombies themselves, but the atmosphere of the maps. I can point out Verrucht, Nacta and Toten, Shino Numa, Kino, 5, Call of the Dead.
From my personal experience, I started with Black Ops 2 Zombies Transit and, you know, Town Survival and that shit, and it creeped me out. It did, you know, this was well over 10 years ago at this point, but yeah, it creeped me out, and I enjoyed playing it with friends because we were all creeped out. You know, it was what it was.
Ed for BO2, Transit, but then Black Ops 3 onwards. Maybe this does have something to do with my age. As more games came out, I grew up with them. I not only became used to it, but typically the older you are, the less scared you get. But I do think the earlier days of Zombies was relatively scarier in brackets compared to what it is now.
Agreed.
If I had to pick,
like, if you were to comparing World at War Verrucht to like Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War Zombies, no question. Even though Cold War is quite scary when you're in the dark and you have the torch, it's nowhere near the same level.
3 games, it would be World at War, Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, and if I had to choose which out of the one I think was the scariest of the bunch, I'd probably say Black Ops 1. I think it's a close...
Out of the original ones, which is the scariest? I think it's between World at War and Black Ops 1. Like, Black Ops 2, the only scary map is, like, Mob of the Dead. And maybe Transit. Other than that, though, like, Buried... I mean, it has the Witch's House, but generally speaking, Black Ops 2 isn't that scary. World at War... I mean, it is scary, but at the same time... I think Black Ops 1 just has more maps. Like, it has Kino, which is quite scary. You have 5, quite scary. Moon's pretty terrifying. And then, of course, you have all the World at War maps that were remastered in Black Ops 1. So, yeah, I'd say Black Ops 1 is the most terrifying.
One between this and World at War. Considering BO1 had more maps, I'm going to say this game just edges it. But they're very close.
That's fair.
I don't think there's that much difference. The maps are relatively similar in terms of style. I don't think there are many things, if anything really, that would make BO1 less scarier than World at War.
I think the maps, up until maybe Ascension, were the same. Or similar. But like Call of the Dead, Shangri-La, and Moon, no fucking way are they anywhere close to World at War maps. You know what I mean? Like, Call of the Dead was massive, Shangri-La was pretty complex, and then obviously we have Moon, which was just ridiculously complex by comparison.
And vice versa. the mechanics, the artwork, it wasn't that different. So for me, Black Ops 1 Zombies was the scariest COD Zombies game we've had. Kino der Toten, 5, Call of the Dead, Shangri-La, Ascension, and Moon. I always say there are 3 different things that go into making a Zombies map: the storyline, the gameplay, and Easter eggs.
Storyline, gameplay, and Easter eggs. To be honest, I think what makes a good map is... Yeah, I would agree it's all a mix of all 3, but I think for me, gameplay is like 60 or 70% of what makes a map good. Like, it doesn't matter how good a storyline is for me if the gameplay is not good. Because at the end of the day, we're playing a video game, we're not reading a book, you know?
In my humble opinion, Kino 5 and Call of the Dead are the scariest of the bunch. Shangri-La, not...
Wait, which did he say were the scariest?
Call of the Dead are the scariest of the bunch.
Kino 5 and Call of the Dead. Really? He thinks Call of the Dead is more terrifying than Moon. Interesting.
Shangri-La, not so much, but there is something about that that makes it a lot different to the rest. How small that map is, how tight it is. I would say it's more anxiety-inducing, not necessarily...
Oh yeah, Shangri-La is more anxiety than anything. Like, the bright colours, the mystical feel. No fucking way is it anywhere close to the same level of creepy as the others.
Scary. Ascension being the easiest map is one of the reasons why it isn't, and
True.
Moon is a bit of a strange one because I think there are parts of it that could be considered terrifying. I hate using that word, it sounds too much, but the area where the MPD is located, especially when the power is turned off, it has certain aspects to it, but for me it is Kino, 5, and...
I think Kino and 5 are the most terrifying. And then I think in third place, it's between Call of the Dead and Moon. Because when you think about it, both maps are like almost identical in terms of the horror factor. You know, you're isolated in a specific location, and you've got a entity constantly pursuing you through the game. In Call of the Dead, it was George, and on Moon, it was the astronaut. You know? But coming back to what I was saying about the gameplay aspect, there are some really bad games that I play, like on Roblox especially, and they have fuck all story. Like, they don't have much story at all. But I don't care because the gameplay is good, you know? So I play it in my spare time.
You could also put Call of the Dead in there as well. Kino der Toten really did have it all. It was a dark, dreary, damp, abandoned theatre. That kind of location alone is a great setup for a scary zombies map. But for me, it's Easter eggs. Beware of the 6 written on the wall. To this day, do we really know what it means? Is it referring to the 6 as in the Nova 6? Is it referring to...
I think that, my personal opinion, I think that's what it's referring to. Because the Nova 6 crawlers, as soon as you turn on the power and, like, they break their way in and they're, like, crawling down the walls and shit, I think it's referring to them.
To the 6 as in the Hellhounds and what rounds they spawn on. And if we just look at the Hellhounds, they are terrifying. There was an Easter egg where from inside of one of these boxes you could hear knocking, clearly indicating that somebody was trapped inside of here, trying to get out. Again, we don't know who, but the idea of that, especially being claustrophobic.
That is a small-ass box. No way is anyone fitting in there. Bro, that's like something out of Outlast. That's insane. The sound direction was cool.
Teleport to the Pack-a-Punch room in Kino and then you are teleported back. Before you arrive at the main teleporter, for a few seconds, you are teleported to 3 or 4 different random rooms.
Yep.
Dentist's office. Let's be honest, going to the dentist is scary. No one wants to go there.
Facts. The dentist is not a fun place to be. Every child's nightmare.
The conference room and 2 different versions of Samantha's room, a nice version and then a destroyed, zombified, hellish version. And seeing this as a kid made me grateful that we were only here for a few seconds. And the whole idea of us teleporting to these rooms was so that we could collect projector tapes, and when you pick it up and put it into the projector and it plays, on the screen we see loads of different random imagery. An eye hints towards the Illuminati, the Undead, Group 935 and their experiments, not only adding to the story, but it was just a reminder that Kino der Toten wasn't just a normal abandoned facility.
No, it really wasn't.
Horrific shit that went on here. And my favourite Easter egg of the bunch, which I've always loved because of the theories and ideas behind it, although we know the answer, but there was always still that bit of mystery because there are pods you can find around the map, and inside of them you see are heads of the undead. We only see their face, but we can imagine within each one of these pods is a zombie. But I remembered when this was new in 2010, people were saying, well, what are these? Are these Nova 6 crawlers inside? Are they zombies?
I never noticed that.
Zombies, since this was one of
whereabouts in Kino is this located?
For the Nazis. But seeing this process,
it looks like the stage, but
zombies were just packaged into these small pods, ready to be sent to the Germans to use for the war. It's an idea that you don't really want in your head. And one thing I think Kino did really well was the sound design, adding to the atmosphere, whether it was...
It's crazy that, like... It's crazy that even though Kino doesn't have an Easter egg, because, like, the main sort of Easter eggs were introduced in Ascension, but, like, it's crazy that all of these cool things did exist. Like, obviously you have the writing on the wall, the potential warning of the Nova 6, you have, you know, the person trapped in the box, and then, of course, you have, you know, those canisters with heads in. It's kind of crazy that it had all of that stuff.
Generators powering up, the teleporter creaking, just little miscellaneous sounds in the background, added to the creepiness.
Yep, when you turn on the The fuck? I'm guessing that's in the alleyway. Jeez. That wind sound effect. Oh. That is so good. Let me hear that again. It was so terrifying as a kid. Like when you were in the starting room and you just heard that wind. That is like horror game vibes. Bro, all of these sounds were in Kino.
So I think Kino was the scariest.
Seriously? I've played Kino for years. I've only heard like a couple of those.
On BO1. Close to it for me was 5. Very different in terms of gameplay. Kino I think was relatively easy and chilled back if you're a good zombies player. But I think for anyone, no matter how good you are, 5 was difficult.
I think part of what makes 5 so like terrifying is how tense you are when you play it because of how difficult a map it is. Like, it's very close quartered. There's no good wonder weapons. You know, getting to round 30 is a challenge on this map. So I think part of what makes the atmosphere is just how tense you are when you play it.
Just because of how tight it was, similar to Shang. There aren't as many scary Easter eggs on 5. Of course, we had the Nova 6 crawlers and how they were made, mixing pig DNA, and you could just find them all around the laboratory, either dead or ready to be experimented on. There was a Pentagon Thief, which was a character that every time I saw running towards me trying to steal my weapon, it's one thing seeing a zombie coming towards you, you kind of get used to that. It's another thing seeing, you know, enemies such as the Hellhounds or the Crawlers, which are not slow enemies.
And this motherfucker was fast. I know he's probably gonna say it, but like, the Pentagon Thief was fast. Like, you can't outrun him. He is one hell of a boss zombie. To this day, I don't think we will ever get a boss zombie as unique as the Pentagon Thief ever again. To be honest, I don't even think George was as unique. I think this guy was just... How tense he makes things is just incredible.
Enemies, but you can kill them before they reach you. However, the Pentagon Thief, you're probably not going to kill him before he gets to you. And even though I knew what he was going to do, that always scared me, especially when he made sounds like this. And the final map,
it literally sounds inhuman.
Close to rivaling Kino and 5 was Call of the Dead. Probably my least played Black Ops 1 map.
I think those those sounds are just terrifying. And help make the experience, you know? But what is he going to say about Call of the Dead? Because, in my opinion, Moon is scarier than Call of the Dead. Like, in my opinion. I think just part of what... Mainly because of the sound, I think. Because when you have the PES on, or, the spacesuit, the sound is muffled. It's quieter and it's muffled, you know? So I think that helps disorientate you, you know? And helps make you feel more isolated.
I was scared of playing it, and I think the reason for that was George. I do think without him on this map, I would have played it so much more, but having an enemy constantly follow you, the same thing happens on Moon, but the astronaut is nowhere near as scary looking, and what he does to you if he catches you, in my opinion, isn't as bad. But having George follow you all of the time, having to constantly look over your shoulder, being aware of where he was, and then trying hard not to anger him.
I think what makes George more terrifying than the astronaut is just how slow he moves, but also how much health he has. Like, this motherfucker is pretty much unkillable unless you have, like, the right setup. Whereas the astronaut, you can kind of kill him with a variety of weapons. So, I don't know. Who do you think's more terrifying, George or the astronaut? Let me know in the comments.
Combined with the fog, the snowstorms, the lack of visibility, just seeing his glowing eyes coming out of nowhere was, I've said this so many times in this video, scary. And another thing I have to give Call of Duty credit for is similar to Kino, the sound design, the noises that you would hear as you were playing. Well, just take a listen.
Fuck, you know.
Like I mentioned, I don't...
I've not really played much of Call of the Dead. It's probably my least played Black Ops 1 map. But those sounds do sound terrifying. Not to mention you have how close quartered some parts of the map are with like the lighthouse and the ship. Encountering George in those areas would probably be quite terrifying.
I think Shangri-La necessarily was as scary, you could say, than a palm zombie, watching him slowly coming towards you. Ascension, there were the monkeys. I like the fact that it was black and white when you loaded up, but I don't think the map necessarily was scary. And Moon, the MPD, that whole area before you turn on the power, and when you do, seeing the MPD power up, kind of gave me goosebumps. Overall, Black Ops 1...
I don't think, just talking about, like, Ascension and Shangri-La for a second, like, I think Ascension was just a lesser Kino in terms of... Not in terms of the map, because I think Ascension's better than Kino, but, like, in terms of how, like, tense or atmospheric it is, I don't think it was quite as good. I think Ascension was more, like, action-focused with, the lunar landers and, the rocket launch. The monkeys were kind of terrifying, but that's kind of it, It didn't really have much else. And then Shangri-La, again, it was just more tense than anything. Because, again, it was quite a difficult map. You have, the monkeys after you. You have the napalm and sonic zombies after you. Yeah, I would say those are the least two scary maps.
I think was horrifying for the time. For the age I was. Now for me, Zombies doesn't have that, even though I think Treyarch have probably tried a lot harder than what they did in games like Vanguard Zombies. You could see where they were trying to take it down the more horror aspect, but it didn't quite work. And
I think World War II was like the best example of, the horror zombies vibe. Forget the quality of the game for a second, put all those thoughts to one side. World War II Zombies was the most terrifying modern zombies approach. Like, think about it. Like, IW wasn't scary. World War II was. Black Ops 4, not really. And then Cold War, not scary at all. So, yeah, I would say World War II was scarier than Vanguard.
Maybe some maps in Black Ops Cold War, like Mao de Toten, but Black Ops 1 nailed it with most of the maps. And World at War, you have to give that credit as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there we go. Let me know your thoughts.
I don't think Mao de Toten was scary. To be honest, I don't think there's any Cold War Zombies map that was scary. Like, D Machine had the most potential to be scary because, like, the underground area was very dark before you turned on the power. But once you turned on the power, it instantly became, just another Zombies map. Firebase Z, not scary at all. You know, it was a very well-lit Vietnamese village type thing, and then like a research base. Mauer, I guess Mauer was scary, but not really. Like, I think it's just the gameplay in Cold War. It doesn't make it scary at all. And then Forsaken wasn't scary in the slightest, so... Yeah, I don't think any, modern interpretation of zombies has come close to World War II in terms of being scary. But I think that, that game specifically went out of its way to be, like, horror-themed with the jump scares and shit, whereas World at War and Black Ops 1 were just naturally scary because of the atmosphere. So I would still say the OG Zombies games are the scariest.
In the comment section below, as always, hopefully you've enjoyed the video today. If you have, drop a like rating.
Woo!
Make sure to subscribe to stay up to date with the latest content.
The entire Zombies storyline explained World at War to, I'm guessing, Black Ops 3 or Black Ops 4. Huge L for Treyarch. I have no idea what this is going to be about. But yeah, feel free to subscribe to BlackOpsAmazing. He does make very good content, as you hear. This video was 10 minutes long, but I think it really did get to the point. Final thoughts. Yeah, I think Zombies has the potential to be quite terrifying. Obviously we have the custom Zombies map, Nightmare, in Black Ops 3, which was like very horror themed, and I think that the custom workshop worked very well to make just such a terrifying experience that was also very memorable and to a good quality and a high standard. So I think what makes COD Zombies good as a thing is just how versatile the maps can be. Obviously you have some maps that are more goofy and over the top, and you have some that are more gritty, down to earth. So I don't know. It's unfortunate that the recent Zombies hasn't been that good. I'm still a fan of the game. I always have been, and I probably always will. But at the moment, I'm just playing, like, custom shit. Like, I'm playing, like, Roblox Zombies. Just doing, like, whenever I stream it with friends or viewers, just chilling out, having a good time. But yeah, I would really like the next Call of Duty, or maybe the Call of Duty 2024, to have, a redemption for Call of Duty Zombies. I think that would be really good. But anyways, guys, I'm just waffling right now. If you liked the video, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Consider checking out my Twitch and my socials down below, where we do live streams and all that good stuff. Playing with viewers or, doing solo experiences. We'd love to have you there. That's all from me for today. So, Spin Lewis or the Gaming Rift, and I will see you all in the next one. Have a good day, guys.